Hi, my name is Mike Dillard, and this is Self-Made Man, the podcast for men who want to leave their mark on the world and create a legacy of honor, integrity, and achievement in every aspect of their lives. I'm glad you're here, and once again, it is time to forge your destiny. Welcome back. Today, we're going to sit down with Mike McEwan, who is the founder of Jane.com. So Jane is a boutique marketplace that features the latest in women's fashion trends, home decor, and children's clothing. And over the past few years, Mike and his wife have literally built the company up from scratch in their home to over $100 million in annual revenue. We're obviously going to hear how that was done on the show today, but what I found most interesting is that the entire company and business is based on the concept of scarcity. So this is a technique that online marketers have been using successfully for decades now. But I find it fascinating that Mike managed to take that one strategy and turn it into a $100 million company. Now, with that being said, their ascent to the top has not been all sunshine and rainbows. Later in today's interview, we have a chance to dive into the stress and the strains that a growing company can have on your relationship or your marriage. And I'm not going to go into details now, but I'll just say that Mike showed an incredible amount of courage, transparency, and authenticity as we tackled this subject and the challenges that he and his wife have had to overcome in this process. This is a fantastic interview, so please help me welcome Mike McEwan of Jane.com. Welcome back, Mike Dillard here, and today we are going to be talking to an entrepreneur who has a hell of a story. I'm going to let him tell you the details behind it, but just to kind of give you a recap, first time into this area of online business, and within 3 to 4 years, they're doing right around $100 million in revenue. You know, Mike, I would love it if I don't ruin the details and the surprise for them, because I think your story as an entrepreneur is absolutely fascinating. But welcome to Self-Made Man. I'm really excited to have you here today. Thank you. Glad to be here. Excited to be here. Absolutely. So as I've been getting to know you and getting to know the story behind Jane.com, you've got a hell of a one, and I think it's something that a lot of people will be able to relate to, who especially have families, who have kids, who've maybe lost a job, and I think it's incredibly inspiring to see what you've gone through in such a short period of time to create the kind of success that you have with Jane. So, take us through that. How did you get started in all of this? Well, you've set me up, and hopefully I can tell the story in a hell of a way that makes it sound amazing. So we got started. I started off I lost my job. The company I was working at doing front end web development, mostly JavaScript, CSS, and HTML and stuff, and worked with another developer and designer. And we decided to start our own development company doing contract work. And we got into that, and we always wanted to build something of our own that we could run on our own and not do contract work anymore. So we thought about, different SaaS ideas and mostly B2B stuff. But then this opportunity came up where a friend of ours found another local business that was doing essentially the model that we have today, but missing the mark in a few places where we knew that we could do better. So we took about 2 weeks and did all of everything from branding, site design, front end development, all the back end, built our own shopping cart, and the marketing campaigns and getting product together in 2 weeks, and ran our first week of free deals. Well, let's for people who are not familiar with Jane, let's talk about what the site is and the idea behind it and Sure. What you guys do. Yeah. So we are a daily boutique deal marketplace, and we have kind of the cadence of product on our site is, a new product will come on today, and 3 days from now it'll be gone. So there's kind of an urgency there in seeing what's on the site on a daily basis. And we have a lot of unique, different products from boutiques. We don't carry any brands, mostly just boutique brands. So can you define that for us? Because the site is really meant for women. Yeah. And fashion. And so I hear the word boutique and I'm, not 100% sure what that even means. So let's go into a little bit more detail for them. Yeah. So a boutique brand would be, of course, not your mainstream labels that you would see like a Nike or Adidas or whatever.
most women these days, and most everybody nowadays, we're becoming having less of an affinity towards specific brands, and we want to set ourselves apart in more ways than one. And one of those is in the clothing that we wear, the jewelry, the other accessories, the clothing that our kids wear, all that kind of stuff. We're looking for that element of uniqueness, and boutiques bring that uniqueness, where they're not bringing mainstream brands. They're actually sourcing their own product, going straight to LA, and some even manufacturing their own lines. So we provide that uniqueness to our customers, which our customer base is mostly women between the ages of 18 and about 38 to 40, and provide it in a way that is interesting every day. So you have this kind of thought of, I wonder what's on Jane today, because we roll out about 300, between 300 and 350 new products every day. So there's that factor of, wonder what's unique and new and different on Jane that's going to set me apart from friends. And on top of that, the prices are really good.
So if I've got a fashion line, right, or a handbag line or something that I'm doing myself, I could come to Jane and sell my product on your platform?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and the with the model being the way it is, with the product only living for 3 days, you'll sell through anywhere between 100, and sometimes we've gone as high as 5,000 in a single product run. So as a boutique, if you're a brick and mortar boutique owner, then selling through product is difficult. You sit on product for a long time, and you'll sell a little bit here and there. But with this, it's a single product. You might have like color variations or things like that to widen the options and reach a broader audience. But you can sell through anywhere from 100 to generally 600 to 800 in 3 days, rather than spanning that over potentially a month, 2-3 months on your own. And we do all the marketing and everything for it and drive traffic to your products.
So you mentioned you put the bones together for this in about 2 weeks when you first had the idea, and you launched the website. And then what? Because clearly there has to be inventory, at least people who are at least listing their products for sale, right? What was that process like? How did you hit that critical mass of having enough suppliers posting their goods that would attract more buyers, if that makes sense?
Yeah. So that's kind of a delicate balance in a marketplace, which is what we're building. We need to bring a balance of customers that meets the demands of, a balance of product that meets the demands of the number of customers that we have. So it was a very, very slow growth in the beginning, where we were really only selling one product. We only had one product available a day in the beginning. And so, because we just hadn't, first of all, our site couldn't handle it. There's no way that we could have put very many products on the site, because we built a minimum viable product. Being that we built it in 2 weeks, we cut a lot of corners, and then we kind of built onto that and ended up rebuilding the platform about 1.5 years later. But yeah, we started with just one deal a day. My wife pounding the pavement, hitting up Etsy sellers. And I think she got probably 6 or 7 Etsy accounts shut down for violating their policies on contacting sellers. But anyway, she would hit up Etsy sellers and see if they wanted to come and sell on the site. And it really started out with mostly unique handmade type items. And then we started getting into jewelry. And then we had some sellers that wanted to get into clothing, and clothing just took off. And clothing was what really, that was kind of the turning point. I think once we added clothing in there, that built a good solid foundation of having the product variety that our customer base wanted to see.
What do you think has been the key to that initial success from a marketing standpoint? Was this strictly on, word of mouth and viral, or did you guys, implement a lot of social media sharing that helped build this for you organically. How did you grow it?
Yeah. So the first 2 years, let's see, maybe a little less than that. The first 18 months or so, we didn't hardly spend a dime in marketing. It was mostly just through social, and we would team up with blogs where they would post about us and partner up with them. But this was back when Facebook didn't have an advertising platform. It wasn't pay to play at that point. So we took advantage of a great period of time where Facebook could help you really grow your business without having to spend a ton of money.
Before their algorithm change, right? Where,
yeah,
if you make a post today, only 10% of your audience sees it versus back then it was 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So what were some of the biggest challenges as you guys started to grow and to scale? You mentioned that you had to completely recode the platform about 18 months into the process. I've had to do that a couple of times. It's never fun. There's a huge opportunity cost in the time that you're now having to spend redoing essentially previous activity. What are some of the biggest lessons that you've learned through this so far?
Well, one of the things that stuck with me really early on that just kind of came to me is that as we scale and grow, all of our problems scale and grow with us and become inhibitors to growth. So we really, about 2 years into it, we took a year and tackled a lot of problems. One particular example is we were really relationship based with all of our sellers. We knew them all really, really well, and we trusted them. So before they had actually shipped out a product, we would pay them, which came back to bite us in the butt a couple of times. One time, really, really big, we paid the seller, and we didn't require that they had the inventory in stock when they ran the deal too. So they would look at their orders and order the inventory that they needed to fulfill those orders. And so there was quite a bit of lag time in getting shipments out. And there was a lot of liability on our end to get the product out. And so we were paying sellers up front. And in order to have some sort of trigger and know when the product had been shipped out, we had to start collecting tracking numbers from our sellers. And once we had to build out that whole integration, and so that they could push their tracking numbers in, and we required it. It was great for customers, good for us, mitigated that risk. So we knew that we had tracking numbers, and we would ship it out, or we would send them their payment as soon as we got shipping tracking numbers. But that one bit us in the butt on one particular occasion where we had a P code deal, and we sent this girl about $70,000. This one deal just blew up, and all of her shipments and stuff got stuck in customs. I mean, from the time the deal ran to people getting their P codes it was like 3 months. It was awful. Right. People had bought them for Christmas gifts, and we were having to deal with the fallout of customers being ticked off about it. And so we took a more proactive approach about halfway into it and said, hey, if you haven't gotten your coat and you don't want to wait, just shoot us an email and we'll refund your purchase. And then people started getting the coats, and the sizing was way, way, way off. So people that were ordering smalls, I mean, it was like a child's small almost. Wow. So then we had to send out prepaid shipping labels and everything. We ended up losing about $25,000 on that deal.
Lesson learned. Yeah, absolutely.
So that was an issue that we didn't want to grow with us, and that we knew would limit our ability to grow. So we had to eliminate that pain.
Did you ever take on funding?
No, we didn't. No, we haven't.
Bootstrap the entire process.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yeah. Great. Yep. I'm a proponent of that myself. So, I'm looking at the site, and there are two things that really stand out to me. First is the design is very clean and simple and elegant, which is a skill set in and of itself. Who is responsible for that? Like, let's just say if I've got a platform in a completely different niche, the design is lacking, and I need to hire someone for that, what would the title of that person's role be?
I don't know. It varies from company to company. We've been kind of grappling with that internally more recently and kind of setting up areas of responsibility, who owns what, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we've determined now that our art director is the one who owns consistent branding that goes out in marketing, on the site, any UI elements on the site. Luckily, our art director has a lot of experience in web development and web design. So he can actually code up a web page. He can design the web page. I mean, front to back, he can do it. So he's really experienced across, print design, marketing design. So he has a lot of the areas of expertise. But generally, you'd have like a UI or user interaction designer that would own some of that. But it really should float up to one person that manages the overall style, look and feel, and consistency across the site.
Now, I've noticed you guys do some pretty sophisticated marketing from a retargeting and a follow-up perspective, which we can get into here in a minute. Are y'all constantly split testing the interface?
Yeah, we do. We've built our platform is completely homegrown from nothing to what we have now. We generally don't rely on other platforms. It gives us like ultimate flexibility to build what we need to build. It also has kind of a downside where some of the third-party tools that we utilize for A/B testing, we tend to build some of those ourselves, but it allows us a little bit more power where we've built a platform or kind of a tool set within our platform where we can take an actual feature set that we've built and roll it out to just 10% of our customers or 5%, and even targeting the type of customers that we want to target with that feature set, watch them interact with it, see if conversion's going up, see if click-through and impressions and that kind of stuff is increasing the way that we expected it to, and then slowly ramp it up to a higher percentage so we get more data on it, and then eventually roll it out to 100% or roll it back if it's not going as we expected it to. Yeah, A/B testing feature sets within the site, we definitely do that quite a bit.
Has there been a test that you found the results to be significantly surprising that you would consider memorable?
Yeah, actually, one that we just recently did over Thanksgiving and at Cyber Monday, Black Friday.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, we rolled out a new algorithm on how we actually display deals, to how we sort deals for our customers when they're looking through the feed of deals. And previous to that, we had split tests about, I think in total we've tested about 80 different variations, but we had narrowed it down to 3 that were performing really well. And then on Black Friday, we picked a winner and rolled it to 100% of our customers that day and throughout what we call the Power 5 from Thanksgiving to Cyber Monday. And it went nuts. It did extremely, extremely well. And based on the kind of the control group, we kept a control through the weekend so that we could see what the difference was, what the total difference was between the new algorithm and the old. And it actually, through that Power 5, added $800K in sales that we otherwise would not have had.
Awesome. Well, there you go. Power of split testing for sure. From a marketing standpoint, as I mentioned, I popped on the site a few days ago to kind of check things out, and there's definitely some retargeting that you guys do, some really cool stuff via email follow-up that you do. Where did you learn that? Was that a skill set that you hired or that you were aware of it? Because y'all are doing some pretty rare stuff that I don't see very often.
Yeah, that's a skill set that we've hired. I can't know and do all this kind of stuff. Like our marketing department is far and away better than I ever would be at that. So we have great people that we've hired to do that.
So would you mind sharing the title of that individual if I'm looking for someone like that for my company? Like who would I even be pursuing essentially?
So, the way that we're structured is, and it would depend on what specifically you're talking about. I can speak to some of the roles that we have. So we have our VP of marketing that runs the entire marketing department. We have a director of digital marketing that oversees all social and paid marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And we have one that is directly dedicated to app marketing. So he's just driving downloads all day. And then, of course, we have somebody else that works on all of our other paid marketing. We have 2 social media girls that manage all of our posts and Facebook Live, all that good stuff. And then somebody else that manages our blog relationships. And then we have a killer affiliate manager. She is incredible. She was nominated for Affiliate of the Year at Affiliate Summit. One of 3 nominees. She's absolutely incredible. So yeah, that's kind of the mix of our department. Oh, of course, PR.
Gotcha. And what would you say has been your biggest win from a marketing perspective over the long run? Like, hey, the moment we started doing this is the moment, growth just went to a different level.
Early on, I'd say affiliate marketing was one of the first things that we did and started paying for. And that attributed to a lot of our new customer growth, for sure.
Now, it's interesting. How would
one of the first ones.
How would you pay the affiliates? What were they getting paid based on? Sending you guys users, or was it directly tied to someone making a purchase?
Yeah, it was directly tied to conversion. If we just paid for users, we'd probably just get a bunch of junk.
Right.
And we wanted to pay for conversion, and then we would get a lot better, a lot cleaner user base.
Right. So was it a percentage of the amount spent, I assume?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we paid out initially, I think it was like 10% across the board. And then our affiliate manager came in and we started giving varying percentages based on performance. And those are like individually negotiated with them. And in between that, actually, we started using an affiliate management company that we were just an account among many accounts, and they would help bring on new affiliates and manage them for us. And then we just outgrew it financially. It just didn't make sense anymore to outsource it.
Very cool. And, finding really good quality resources in any of these areas can be like a needle in a haystack. And it sounds like y'all have consistently been able to find really quality, talented either agencies or individuals. Has there been a method to your madness, or are you just getting lucky? How are you going about that?
I would say that it's, we're pretty picky. I've been in on a lot of the conversations early on, and our VP of marketing he's led the charge there. But it's really about like vetting and networking and talking to finding other customers that use them. And starting out with a network. If the referral comes from a person that loves the agency or whatever service that's being outsourced, that's almost as good as gold. And if you get 2 or 3 people that you keep hearing this, then that's a pretty good indicator that they're good. And sometimes you get leads that aren't good, and it's all about watching the numbers really quickly, getting quick feedback, and if they suck, then you let them go. No hard feelings. It's business.
Yeah, absolutely. And y'all were started in 2011. What did you do in revenue last year?
Last year we did 86 million.
86. So,
last year we did 110. The year before we did 86.
Awesome. So how has the business changed for you personally with that kind of growth? I mean, you're dealing with a very, very, very different engine, at this point. And how many team members do you have as well? Yeah.
So we went into last year with kind of it was the first time that we had done any projections for the year, and said, this is what we'll probably end up at as far as EBITDA goes. And, it like kind of screwed with my mind. And I said, about a month into it, I felt like it was like handcuffs. And I said, screw this. I'm done, keeping to this little budget. Like, let's be more growth minded. Like, we've never done this before where we've looked ahead and said, we want to make this much money. So, we went into this kind of hyper growth mindset last year, and we actually still ended up making more than the previous year in EBITDA, even though we spent a whole bunch more. We grew enough to accommodate it. But in that growth, we went from, 56 employees the year before to 96. So we grew by about 40 employees, almost close to double. And where before that, my reach was a lot longer, and I had a lot more touch points with employees within the company. But now it's kind of weird where we'll hire around somebody and I won't have very much contact with them. And so they have no idea of like the vision and what we're wanting to accomplish and things. So I felt this overwhelming need to use some sort of system to get my vision out there and to get everybody on the same course, on the same path. So we're all working toward the same thing each quarter or, each year. So I started looking at different systems for that, for goal setting, and that settled on OKRs, objectives and key results. I shouldn't say settled. I'm super excited about it. It's an awesome setup. Google was kind of founded on it, and LinkedIn, and
objectives and key results. So is that based on a particular book by someone?
There is a book that we read that's called Radical Focus that we read as an executive team. But you can go online, and there's Google Ventures actually it's probably the most popular video on OKRs. But Google Ventures published a video that is like an hour and 20 minutes and goes from start to finish on OKRs and kind of the cadence of OKRs, quarterly cadence and what's expected weekly and how to set those goals. There's a lot of there's some rules around it so that the goals are really meaningful and focused and measurable. So the objective is a qualitative objective, and then you measure your success in reaching that objective by setting what are called key results that are quantitative, that you can measure the overall objective success from. So those key results are the actions, those are the things that you're going to do to reach your objective.
Just for clarity's sake, is there an example that comes to mind that you could share?
The example that they use in the Google Ventures video is the San Francisco Giants winning the World Series. They, some companies have like 2 or 3 OKRs and some just have one. Theirs was one. Their objective is to win the World Series. So there are key results inside of that will help them accomplish that. And, one would have to do with players and, potentially training or something. And then another one would have to do with, filling the stadium to, average 80% capacity throughout the season. And, those kinds of things that would lead into helping them obtain or hit that objective.
Cool. Awesome.
And then everything floats down from there, right? So everybody within the entire organization picks, some of the KRs that they can contribute to, and they set their own OKRs, their own objectives and key results from those. So everything in the organization floats up to this single objective. And it's, the other thing is that you should be getting ideas from, it's a bottom up, top down idea where, you give your employees about 24 hours to submit their ideas of what we should be focusing on for the year. And then as an executive team, you utilize those to set your objectives. So there's input from the teams and yeah.
Flipping the subject here just a little bit, you're married, you have 3 kids. What has this process been like for you guys from a family and a marriage standpoint in dealing with this kind of transition?
Yeah. Well, we had a 4th kid about 2 years into it. And, I'll be honest, perfectly honest, that it's been difficult, and it's been a bit of a strain on our marriage. Oh man, I'm going to get emotional. But it's been rocky, it's been rough.
Yeah.
Just balancing and a lot of it is comes down to personality And a lot of it was me just being so hyper focused on the business and you know and forgetting about the priority of mainly my wife and making her feel like I cared about the business more than her. And in reality, I mean, it sounds horrible to say it, but that was what was happening. Her feelings were right. And I was not in that I didn't care about her, but that the majority of my focus and energy was going into the business. So yeah, it's a difficult balance to make sure that you don't get completely consumed into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's so easy to happen, which is exactly why I asked the question, because it's more common than not by a long shot. So is there anything that you guys have done that have kind of helped remedy that or move things in a positive direction?
Yeah, but before this last year, I mean, when this all kind of came to a head, I was reading lots of business books and that kind of stuff to, of course, my focus, like I said, was on the business and not my relationship. And, we decided we needed to go to therapy. And that was really good for me. It was kind of the start of my own kind of personal individual journey on becoming a better person and being more joyful and more kind of relaxed about things. And I mean, the biggest thing was just mainly becoming more self-aware and understanding my own personal behaviors and where they were coming from and being a lot more reflective and mindful. So yeah, my focus turned from the business to my relationship and ended up actually taking kind of a leave of absence for a little bit so that I could kind of get my bearings and focus, and read some marriage books along with my wife, and then a lot of books mostly on just kind of self-help for me personally, getting through some of the things that were blocking me from being able to connect with my wife on a totally different level and really feel her. The main one I'll share that like, honestly, I think every person on the entire planet should read is the Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. I'm reading it with my 11-year-old right now, and it just talks a lot about it's all about shame and fear and feeling inadequate and what that does to a person and how it makes them, what kind of behaviors it invokes. And one of the major ones is perfectionism. And because perfectionism is it's all about others, right? And image and how people perceive you and things like that. So that was like one of the best ones that I read. And it goes a lot into self-love and loving who you are today. Gosh, I'm getting emotional again.
It's interesting.
Sorry.
No problem. I mean, I think we can, if we're all honest, we can all relate to what you've, the challenges you've had personally and relationship wise, more than we would care to admit. Yeah. So Brene Brown her name has come up ironically, you're the third person in 24 hours, where her work has come up. So I have to absolutely plug in with her. And,
she's great.
Another resource that I have hugely benefited from in that regard is, now I'm gonna be a moron and forget as I'm bringing it up in the show here. It'll
totally come, something I would do.
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
I'm surprised I even pulled out the name of the book and her name.
I'll think of it here. She was the third episode we ever did on the show, and I will Allison Armstrong with one L. I have really, really appreciated her work when it comes to relationship stuff, and that's who Tony Robbins credits with a lot of his concepts when it comes to relationships. So I would absolutely check her out. Her
Cool.
audiobooks on Audible are fantastic. She's super entertaining. She's quite funny.
I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, well, that's cool. I mean, it's great to hear that, these challenges are not uncommon, or really they're really common, and you're making your way through them, and that's part of the life of an entrepreneur, right?
Yep.
And ironically, the best part is despite the fact that you've taken time off to work on this side of your life, the business is doing better than ever.
Yeah.
Which is great. So
yeah, I mean, it speaks to the people that we have here.
Absolutely.
We've got some great people that are passionate about what they do, and yeah, I love Jane. So
that's cool. That's awesome. Well, we've got about 5 minutes left here. I've actually got to leave to go pick up my son from school. So,
cool.
What's the final big piece of advice if you could spend the next 5 minutes sharing your most valuable lesson learned through this journey?
Oh man, there are too many. Gosh, I'll just share one that I was relaying to my son and actually talking to my wife about last night, and that a neighbor shared with me. We were asking him about his family, and he's just got the most amazing girls. He's 3 girls. We're like, how'd you guys do it? And he said, we've got this kind of mantra in our family that if you're not doing things that make you, or that are uncomfortable, then you're stagnant, and you're not growing, you're not developing, you're not getting things done. So that's something that I didn't realize that I wholeheartedly believed in until he mentioned it. But it's something that's driven me in my career and in this business, is that when I start to get comfortable, then it makes me uncomfortable. I don't like that feeling of coasting. And so constantly pushing beyond even what you feel like you're capable of doing, or even your team, and stretching your teams, they grow from that discomfort. They go through experiences that are difficult. I mean, this is a smaller scale example, but I mean, just growing your individuals in your company example. We did our first Jane Seller Conference last year, and we asked a lot of our employees to speak, and one was just, crying the day before a run through, and it just was really, really tough. Had a huge fear of public speaking, but she knew her stuff, and we were confident in her, and she presented the next day, and afterwards she came up to us and was like, man, I feel like that was so amazing. I feel like I can conquer the world right now, and it's when we stretch ourselves and accomplish those things, and reach the other side of it, that we go, man, I'm so glad. That was freaking hard, but I'm so glad I went through that.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. That's where all of, like you mentioned, all of the growth and success and everything lies is through a challenge and through growth. And I could not agree with you more. Well, Mike, this has been a really awesome surprise, and you've built something absolutely amazing. And
thank you.
Thanks for being super authentic with us today. And I think this is going to inspire quite a few listeners who are possibly going through the same thing, or may have that as a challenge waiting for them down the road. So
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
I appreciate you having me today.
Absolutely.
Really great.
Absolutely.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Well, Mike, beyond sending people to jane.com to check out the platform and the company, is there anywhere else that people can connect with you to follow you personally?
So I'm not a huge proponent of social media, but they could definitely connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay, cool.
We could connect there. But yeah, as far as Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, it would be a ghost town.
Okay, no worries. That's a good sign. You're working on stuff that matters. That's awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you again so much, and thank you all out there for listening. Absolutely. Check out jane.com, and we'll see you next week. Take care.